Hello, this is my vlog for May 22. It's 3:58 p.m. Wednesday, 2024. I was gonna call the IRS, try to figure out about my taxes today, but I was gonna do it with my mom. She was gonna come over, but we were gonna go to the gym first, but she had to go somewhere first, like the doctor or something. And was gonna call me, but never called me, so maybe she forgot or fell asleep or something. Anyway, I was working because we were supposed to go to the gym at 9 this morning because we went very briefly yesterday. But I was working until like 6 or something, 5. I think it was daytime. I could see the daytime was coming up. So I laid down and I was like, well, I hope that, if she calls me at 9, I'll be awake enough, or maybe she'll call me later or whatever. And I think she ends up calling me at like 11:30, and she's like, yeah, I gotta go, and then I'll call you back at like 1. But then she never called me, so I came out here and started working anyway, something at like 10:30, not that long after I slept. But then I went back, but then I had like a couple of naps throughout the day because I think maybe either I was like falling asleep or I just couldn't see the screen. Like yesterday, I had to take a nap. I remember specifically at one point I had to take a nap because I was trying to read one of the chapters and I was looking at the screen and it just faded over, man. Like 3 times. I was like, oh man, okay. And then it was just like, and I was like, oh dude, like falling asleep. My eyes were like shutting, so I was like, all right, yeah, time to go take a nap. But, last night, yesterday, I was kind of bogged down on like book 6 and 7, and I got tired, so then I started, instead of like going through it with a fine-tooth comb like I just kind of was going through the book and looking at like numbers of people. Like if I saw like 4,000 people captured or something, I just copied 4,000 people and I'd write captured, and I look up real quick and who, and then I'd say who. So it actually was a pretty good way. It's pretty fast. And I zoomed down that for like I think all the way down book 10 or halfway down book 10 or something. And then I got the idea to build a timeline for the consuls. I have a history timeline, and so I copied the grid from my history timeline, and so that if I wanted to see what's going on in the rest of the world or Rome, you could have a window where it's the timeline of Rome at that time. And then the other window that is all the consuls. And you can just scroll to that point. And then you can see all the consuls' lives at that time to examine the generations. There's all these consuls. I don't know how many I'll count, I guess. But stretching 1,000 years they're all part of a different generation. So, and you can see that here. So, I have the border showing where the date is on the top and the bottom. My website doesn't have a perma menu on the top. I never saw that feature on Dreamweaver, which I use. So I just do everything statically. Maybe I'll put something up there later, but like on the timeline, it's good enough just to have one on the top and the bottom because it doesn't take more than like a screen anyway, more than much of a screen. These or a couple of screens, all of these, like the horizontal part of the timeline. So I decided to do the timeline per decade, because a decade's worth of consuls is kind of like a screen. So you have it on the top and the bottom, and then good way to gauge a decade. The background can be like the color of the decade. Maybe, I don't know. Because I have the background of the console themselves is the color. And then in the middle, I'll show. And then in the middle is the date where he used the console. And then you can click on the link to take you to the console page. That's another cool thing. It's a link to history. And I also wanted to, I'm going to make one for dictators too, because they have a list of that on Wikipedia. And that's a long ass list. I'm not, a lot of these consoles are consoles multiple times. So the console's color is the color that they're console first. And then I only have them there one time. And so I have the date of the first time they're console and the color, and then below them all the other years that they're console, which I'll put up there later. Currently I'm at the year 384, and the console ship started in 509. And it actually carried all the way up until like 530 or something. So it was like 550 years. Fizzled out. And I think I'll include it all through that. That was about the time when the city of Rome died too, so you can to compare it would be interesting with Google Earth. Google died in the 400s, but then Rome died in three sacks in the 400s, 410, 435 and 455 and 475, something. But then there was a sack in 455 that I think like right before the end of the console, where they broke the aqueducts, and that's what really killed the population. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to compare them to, because I'm building it on Google Earth too. What? So the work that I'm doing on this, it's just super duper simple, because it's brain candy. It's just back to the brain candy I go. It's just copying and pasting. And then of course the fix it up section of it. This is going to be really hard, because a lot of those consoles don't have Wikipedia pages, and the way that I know that a console's already been up there, because it's multiple times, is because it's been grayed out, and so then I don't paste the same guy twice. But the ones with there's no link, they can't do that. So I'll have to make sure that I don't put some of those guys up multiple times. But if a guy doesn't have a Wikipedia page, I don't imagine that he'd been console more than once. So hopefully I won't have to deal with that. But yeah, just other touch-up stuff. Oh, and there's my mom finally calling. So that's enough talking. Talk to you tomorrow.